In light of current events, grab my hand and let's walk down memory lane together, all the way back to the year of our Lord, 2012, when then Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney was lambasted by Democrats in the media for daring to say that Russia was, quote, our #1 geopolitical foe. Then President Obama at the time pounced on Romney at the third presidential debate.
A few months ago, when you were asked what's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America, you said Russia. Not al-Qaeda, you said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back because, the Cold War has been over for 20 years.
Ooh, sick burn, Mr. President. Joe Biden piled on, of course, saying, quote, Romney acts like he thinks the Cold War is still on. I don't know where he's been. Well, fast forward 10 years, and Russia has now invaded, over those 10 years, a Democratic U.S. ally for the second time, once under Obama, now once under Biden. So are the Democrats on the hook for not taking Romney's warning more seriously back then? Joining me now is Fox News contributor and the Federalist editor-in-chief, Mollie Hemingway. Mollie, great to see you.
Great to be here with you.
I just want to start with this. I don't want to pick too much on Chris Cillizza, who's now at CNN, but I think this helps illustrate this phenomenon very starkly. Back then, here was a tweet from Cillizza, who'd watched the debates. Oh, he loves it. Methinks this was the best line of all three debates. He also called it a mic drop moment in another tweet. Well, here's Cillizza's column from today at CNN.com. Oh, it's time to admit Romney was right about Russia just in the nick of time. Don't rush into it, Chris. 10 years later, Mollie. And look, your reaction to this in general, because to me, I remember all the high-fiving after Obama had that rehearsed line, and oh, he really stuck it to Romney. There's been, shall we say, a bit of a shift in the media's tone about Russia in the intervening years, has there not?
The media were absolutely horrific to Mitt Romney during that debate and everything about that campaign. But they were wrong only because they wanted their favorite person ever, Barack Obama, to win that election.
Right.
The fact is that both of those people were actually wrong in the debate. Both Mitt Romney and Barack Obama were wrong. Mitt Romney says that Russia was our #1 geopolitical foe, and Barack Obama said it was al-Qaeda. What neither of them were focusing on was the actual #1 geopolitical adversary, which was China. And they should have been focusing on it then. They should be focusing on it now. But the flip-flops are not about actually our foreign policy establishment understanding how to prioritize threats to the country. It's just about raw political power. And so they mocked Romney then because they wanted Barack Obama to win, and now they have turned 180 degrees because they know Joe Biden's having a very bad presidency, and they want to use this as a way to get everybody off the topic of all of his other failures.
And Romney had a much better point, at least back then, than they would let on, as they now all are finally willing to concede a decade later, Mollie. So let's just look now into a crystal ball. 10 years from now, what do you think the media might finally admit to us?
I have very low expectations for them. You said something a minute ago about how Putin had invaded Ukraine under Barack Obama and under now Joe Biden. The one president that he didn't do it under was Donald Trump,
right,
who had a very different foreign policy, who did not do that. So I have no expectation. I assume they will still be pushing bad ideas about where we should focus our interests, but they're wrong about everything. So namely, they'll be wrong about foreign policy in the years to come, and they will learn nothing, because that's the one thing about our foreign policy establishment. No matter how much they get it wrong, whether it was getting it wrong on how to fight wars or which wars to intervene in, they never learn a lesson, and it's the same people coming back year after year with more of their bad ideas.
See, I'm sort of waiting. I don't know when it's going to come. It might come soon for the revisionism from their perspective on Trump, because it's always the next Republican who's even worse and more evil than ever. And so we've already seen actually hints of this with Ron DeSantis. I think that there's going to be a rehabilitation of Trump for their power politics purposes, maybe a lot sooner than 10 years from now. Mollie, we've got to leave it there. We appreciate seeing you.
Okay.
Please, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think people understand how much the mistreatment of Mitt Romney brought on Donald Trump. We all saw that the media were horrific to this very nice guy, and we all said there's no reason to ever care what the media have to say about any Republican nominee from here on out.
It was a radicalizing event, and I think that's a very good point, and I'm glad you jumped in before I sent it to break, because it was an important point to be made by Mollie Hemingway. Mollie, thank you.
Thank you.